fourth tutorial. In the first tutorial, we just had some simple calculations. We could use the MATLAB toolbox as a calculator. The second one, we did some matrix multiplication from a specific math problem, and we solved it using MATLAB. And the third one, we used if-else conditions. Else always at the end. And now we want to use or introduce a for loop. So at the beginning we put the clear all CLC. We name it tutorial 4, which is a for loop. And as always, we define variables. In this case, we just need a vector. And the vector include the scores of matches that we have registered from, let's say, from the Bundesliga or the Premier League, and we want to look at the, or we want to evaluate these scores using the for loop, and I will show you how. And first we have to create the vector which gives us the scores in soccer matches, so the number of goals. And as you can see, it will be a vector, 40 entries. What you also can do is now use the for loop, calculate the number of games in which 2 goals were scored. So we can start using a for loop. A for loop is always defined with the for end command, and here we need a parameter that changes for each loop. We name it I and say the starting position, it's mostly 1, and the maximum number it should be getting, and that should be 40. So in our case we just put the length of scores. This will be then 40, so we have an I that changes after each loop. So now what we're getting when we look in the command window, we get numbers I from 1 to 40. But now what we actually want to do, we want to use this one in order to get the number of games in which 2 goals were scored. So there are a lot of solutions that we can use, but I give you how I would do it. So first thing is that we put it that we always get these numbers in each loop, that we have 40 times this loop, and we get the digits that are in this vector. And as we can see, okay, we always get the values that are here, so the last value is 3 as in our command window. But what we want to do now, we want to look if this one is equal to 2, and as we learned last tutorial that we can use if and command, and now always if we have 2, this will be activated, and as we can see it will be for the second, 12, 23, 24 and so on, and we could just say okay, that's 2, 4, 6. But we want to quantify this in a variable. So what we are now doing is we say okay, if scores of I is equal to 2, then we want to have n equal to n plus 1. That's often used, and we define it as 0. So every time scores is equal to 2, it will add a 1 to n, which is at the beginning 0. And at the end, we can say, okay, what's the total count? Total count is equal to n. Of course, we actually could just name it total count, but I just want to show, okay, it's 6, as we remember. And that's just a simple example how we could use the for command in order to get the total count. We can also adapt it to 3 goals or 4 goals. Just to give you an understanding, we then just copy this. We can maybe look at 4. Okay, how often will the number 4 be? We say, okay, total count is equal to n, and then let's find out. It's also 6. And then we look at the vector 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks good. We also can change this to 5. Probably is a little bit smaller. So actually we only have 4 times games where we have 4 goals. So this is really useful. You can also combine it with if. We can do even more complex. We can also do something that we put more for loops into a loop. But I think for this case, it is important that we start for end, use a variable that changes after each loop, define its values, and then we can use this in a command and then find out how many goals were scored in the games. So thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next video.